Hi, welcome to the Brief Book Reviews channel, otherwise known as An Old Guy Reviews the Book that he's read this week. So what's the old guy read this week? Well, the book I've read this week is this one. It's called It Could Have Been Her by author Lisa Jewell. It was published as a hardback edition here in the United Kingdom on the 2nd of July 2026 by Century. And it's the author in her acknowledgement says this is a 24th set of acknowledgements. And some people who worked on the book weren't even born when the first book, Ralph's Party, was published in 1999. So Lisa Jewell's got a good track record of writing twisty psychological thrillers. I've reviewed a few of them on the channel previously, and this is another good one. I was pleased I picked it up. So what's it all about? I hear you say, stop waffling, Cliff. So the central character in this book is a lady called Jane Trevally. The book opens with Jane having a meeting with an estate agent to look to sell her house. Her house is not just an ordinary house, it's basically a dilapidated country pile called Roseberry Hall. She's the sole owner. She's got mixed feelings about it. This is her parents' house. Her parents are no longer with us. She had parents had addiction problems, so it's a country pile. She likes living there. She's been divorced twice. She had 2 marriages. She's at a bit of a crossroads. She's in her mid-50s, doesn't really know what to do with her life. Keeps herself busy by walking her 4 dogs. The country pile, as I said, is a bit dilapidated, needs a lot of money spent on it, and she's torn between just selling it and walking away from it, or staying because it's her home. But, so she's taken her 4 dogs out for a walk. They keep her occupied, and all of a sudden she sees this stray white dog. It's a West Highland Terrier, a Westie, and she thought he's looking a bit rough, So goes to the dog, has a look at him, and he's looking a bit scruffy, a bit dehydrated. So she thought, well, I better take him home with me. So she does take him home with her, and he settles in with her other 4 dogs for the night, and she thinks, well, I better get him to the vet, see if he's chipped, see who his owner is. And sure enough, she does. She goes to a local vet, and he is chipped, and it turns out his name's Hugo. Hugo Tucker, and he lives in an address called Thornwood, the Vale of Health in London, Northwest Street, which is miles away from where Jane is, who's down on the coast, down by Brighton. So she's got a stepson, Dexter, who lives in London. She thinks, good excuse, I'll go and see my second husband, Tony. He's got a place in London. Maybe I can stay with him for a while. It turns out he's going away, so he says she can use this place. So Jane and Dexter, stepson, get off to take Hugo back to his owners. As they're driving along, it's just off Hampstead Heath, she's got this sort of strange feeling that she's been here before. And sure enough, they get to the house where Hugo's home, called Thornwood, and a sort of cold chill goes down the back of her spine. Because 25 years ago, she's been to this house before. And it turns out after breaking up after her first marriage, she's in a bar, she was picked up by a very handsome and debonair chap who was looking for an au pair. This guy takes her back to his house, his name was Alan, and immediately she feels there's something off about the house. His wife is a bit standoffish. He's just about to pour her a drink, and she hears a bang from upstairs, a noise, and it just doesn't feel right. So Jane basically legs it. That was 25 years ago, and sure, 25 years later, they're taking Hugo the dog back to this same house, Thornwood. And she's thinking, I've got bad vibes about this house. There is something wrong with this house. I don't know what it is, but I don't want to be here. So they knock on the door, and it's not Alan that answers. It's a guy called Stuart. And he says, oh, Hugo, oh, thank goodness you found him. Thanks so much. And they hand over Hugo. Hugo's clearly pleased to see Stuart. And off they go. When Jane goes home, it's still sort of, how can this little dog end up down here and yet be owned by somebody who lives in Hampstead Heath in London? And she starts talking to one of the local farmers, a lady who rents out cottages on Airbnb. And she says, Helen Yaxley, her name is. And she says, yeah, it's strange. There was a young lady here, Daisy, and that white dog was with her, and Daisy is just sort of up sticks and left. can't find her, don't know where she's gone, she's left all her clothes here. It's a bit of a mystery. So Jane's at a bit of a loose end and decides that she needs to find out what's going on here. What's happened to Daisy? Why did Hugo end up down here? And what's the connection between these events and the house in Thornwood, which gives her terribly bad vibes? And basically that's the essence of the tale. It's Jane finding a purpose in life. She thinks maybe she could be a private detective. She's re-engaging with her stepson, with her other children from her previous marriages. And she's trying to find a place for herself. Meanwhile, trying to sort out the mystery of what happened to Daisy and how Hugo ended up down where she lives, and P.S. what's going on in this house. And Lisa Jewell writes this very, very well. We get layers taken, and we get the story told mainly from Jane's perspective, but also from the people that are living in that house. And clearly there are things going on in that house, or there have been things going on in that house that just aren't right. So that, in effect, is, as I said, is the psychological thriller. It's really well done. The layers finally... Initially, it's a tad confusing because we're looking at different timelines. We're looking at the story from different aspects of the people involved. But eventually, you begin to see the picture and you begin to understand that something here isn't quite right, and Jane herself could actually be in danger. So it's a very well written psychological thriller. I suppose to a certain extent it falls off a little bit at the end because it's not a fast action murder mystery. It's a psychological thriller. You know something's gone on here, but you're not sure until right at the end what that is. But as the book goes on, you become more and more aware of what's probably happened. So no real major surprises at the end, but nevertheless a well-written ending. And it's a well-written book. So it's 416 pages. Yeah, Lisa Jewell normally turns out a good psychological thriller, and this is another good one. So I enjoyed reading it. You empathise with the characters, you understand what's going on, and Jane in particular, how she's trying to rebuild her life, find some purpose in her life. And, we have this underlying threat all the way through that something isn't right about this house in Thornwood. So I really enjoyed it. I'd recommend it. So I think that's it for this week's brief book review. Thanks for watching. 10:10, so we do it again.